Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Shadowverse. Today is Monday, June the 14th. I don't know what happened to my microphone all of a sudden that it sounds different, but it definitely does feel more bassier all of a sudden. Although maybe that is just another case of this weekend me not talking so much, so maybe my voice healed up a little bit better, got deeper or something. I don't even know why anything of like that would happen, but yeah. So yeah, for the accountability section, I was still taking the weekend off. It was probably a perfect day to take the weekend off, or week to take the weekend off, because we are at the beginnings of E3 and there was a lot of live streams. Kind of the only thing I think we'll cover all the games that were announced, but the only thing I want to say specifically about the live streams, and mostly I was watching Giant Bomb cover live streams. It's kind of shocking how little the Giant Bomb crew knew, because there was at least half a dozen games that had already been announced that they were looking at for the first time, and then they were saying like, I've never heard of this, I have no idea what this is. What's really funny is some of them honestly were like announced, I think, almost last E3 too. It really just highlights how at least the Giant Bomb mainstream video game media, they definitely have some blind spots. Also, certainly, they were completely uninterested in anything that Square Enix's live broadcast had to do. The one Japanese company, they were just basically trolling on, which that seems to be fairly common for Giant Bomb and other Western video game companies, is that they do seem to completely have no interest in the Japanese games, which may be in line, in all fairness, with the Western audience. But who is the taste maker there is the real question. Is it that the Western video game audience is not interested in Japanese games because they naturally have tried them and liked them, or are they not interested in Japanese games because the Western video game critics have pooed on top of them, and just completely reviewed them horribly, or completely blacklisted them and not even talked about them for decades. Yeah. So you don't know there. I think an argument, personally, if I was to guess, is that definitely in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and 2010s, mainstream video game journalists were definitely the tastemakers. Now, when we start to get to 2011, 2000 to 2021, maybe at this point the audience has kind of wised up and stopped allowing their decisions so much to be dictated by advertisement in the form hidden as reviews. Maybe not. So yeah, but back for the accountability section. I've been mostly doing nothing, resting my sore foot, which that there's a long-term injury on that same foot that it would be nice if that would heal, but I don't think it ever will. Just plantar fasciitis. But I was, for the first half of the weekend, working on my RetroPie GPI case, which is a Game Boy case that you put a Pi Zero, or a Pi Zero W in my case, into it, and I was trying to put a new build on it and trying to set up a system where it could play music and videos. And in the process, it apparently played 2 audio files at the same time, which really shouldn't be a big deal. But that short-circuited the entire GPI case. Just fried it. Like, as best as I can tell. Maybe it short-circuited for some other reason. The truth is, I bought that thing on sale like last year around Prime Day, and I barely played with it, barely set it up, and then it's been sitting around because it's just been a terrible year as far as trying to get any productive side projects done. But they're side projects too, so it's a bigger issue that I haven't gotten as much main foreground projects done. But yeah, it's been a terrible year as far as getting anything done. So it could be that the circuitry was just destined to fry anyways, and that I was never going to get more than a few hours. Like, I probably got less than 20 hours out of it. And that kind of solves a problem, because while at some point I would like a retro device that is more in a Game Boy form factor, the GPI case didn't ever really get any updated support or firmware or drivers. It doesn't have enough buttons. It doesn't have a right stick of any kind to play anything. So you really were hamstrung as far as what kinds of games you could play just by the number of buttons. You were also hamstrung using the Raspberry Pi Zero form factor, which is a very slow processor and small CPU, whereas now we have the Raspberry Pi 4 compute modules. I think it will be only a matter of time, once we get out of this chip shortage, that we'll see a Game Boy type device that uses the compute module, can play more emulators on RetroPie. It can play it at a higher resolution. The GPI case was 320 by 240, which is fine, but I mean, it wasn't great. It didn't have great battery life. It didn't have a rechargeable battery. There was a whole host of problems with it that became fairly apparent with that first generation of an attempt at something like that. And there's always the question about, should you really build a RetroPie that looks like a Game Boy just because you're nostalgic, or should you build something that is much more close to a Switch, where the controllers are on the side, as far as form factors. There was a Shadowverse live stream. Apparently, they, I think, have announced their new expansion, and during this live stream, they've given away a bunch of things that you have 11 days now to receive. So let's do that. Never is going to be a better time to go ahead and open these packs, unless we just want to wait until the new expansion happens. Here we have a new legendary card pack. At least one is a legendary card. Alright, well, I suspect that this is going to disappear after we open these packs. There's a high chance of legendaries maybe becoming more frequent. I mean, that is not bad at all, but were any of those new? That would be the real question. I didn't get any kind of title or anything like that. No avatars or anything with those. And see, that was a fairly pathetic pack opening. And even as a legendary pack, it seems like you can very easily still... See, that's what I was expecting to get. You can still very easily end up getting other cards. Whereas at this level, I think they should probably abandon the concept of it being random at all, and it should just be massively good cards. There might be an argument to wait on these until the new expansion, but whatever. Let's just do it now. So after to finish up the accountability section, after frying the Game Boy, yep, that has just completely disappeared. We should open all of these packs right now, because this add-on to Darkness over Velsar probably is going to disappear fairly quickly. I then moved over to just using a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, which I had already, to continue to try and work on the ability to play music and video. It's more complicated than it seems, like, because there's really not a lot of underlying software and support software to get it all to set up and work well. I am almost 100% there with it, but there is some problems. The main problem that I'm still trying to work on is that you basically on a RetroPie are going to be controlling things with a controller. The movie and audio player is called Omx Player. It's a really embedded console frame buffer the program, so it's not using a standard X11 Windows environment or anything like that. It is just directly drawing to the screen. We might as well just open all of these now. And so it has some keyboard inputs, the Omx Player does. But to map a joystick or gamepad, like a Microsoft gamepad or Microsoft controller, to the key buttons is difficult. There is a program that does that, but that program is really only programmed to map it one way and run once. So I'm having to potentially figure out a way to pause it running once, run it with some different configurations a second time, kill the second instance, and then unpause the first instance and hope that that works. That's where I stopped before I started streaming today. But I was going to try and send keystrokes directly through scripts. Apparently you really can't do that without using another program called Screen. There's just that's basically bad security and hijacking another process, and they just won't allow it. So I had written code that theoretically should have worked, and it just is saying permission denied. So yeah, okay, fair enough. So instead I had to abandon that. The reason why you'd use a script anyways is because the music player has a foreground and background option that I've set up. It makes a lot of sense on Emulation Station that you would select an audio file and then it would just start playing in the background, since there's not really any audio, any visual element there to show. And then you would be able to browse your collection of ROMs at that point while the music is playing. Now, there are many scripts out there that will play music in the background and kind of randomize it or play off a playlist. That is not what this is. This is about having an actual music player controller set up. And so that's a slightly different thing. But there's also a foreground option where when it's in the foreground you need the controller set up so that you can at least exit the program. And there's a lot of hoops that certainly had to be jumped through to get to that, because the program, the Joy2Key Python script that remaps the joystick to a key press uses ANSI hexadecimal escape code, so I have to look at the instructions on Omx Player to see what button does what, and then convert that button on a keyboard to the ANSI hexadecimal escape code, and then I have to send that escape code in the launching argument as a configuration element. So yeah, that took some time to figure out and just make sure I've got the right buttons for the right thing. Now, inevitably, I really haven't gotten that far. I'm going to try to actually submit this code to RetroPie, so when it actually works, it will actually be accepted. But I also would like to point out that I started like a GitHub account probably 6 months to a year ago, and I've made 2 or 3 suggestions, so I'm definitely not heavy into it, and the suggestions I've made are super simplistic. I'm not going to go work on somebody else's code and just put a lot of effort into it, and so far that's been a good move because not a single pull request or suggestion or addition has ever been accepted. And I've heard that that is kind of the way of GitHub, and that like they are kind of jerks even amongst the geeks. Everybody's code is basically their own little baby, and a lot of people just don't want to make changes, or that they just don't value the changes. Anyways, I do have one project that I would love for anybody to put any code into it, because that project has been completely abandoned, and some of it worked, but I'm not working on it. So yeah, that is the theoretical thing. This animation looks really different that you would want from GitHub, is that you would find this community of like-minded people who would all be passionate on your idea. You'd find that there is people who appreciate your creations and contribution and want to contribute to it, to want to become this community. But you don't, or at least I've yet to see that happen. And from the other angle, I certainly can empathize too, that I imagine big popular projects get a lot of submissions of terrible code, a lot of submissions of garbage that doesn't matter at all. I'm trying to see what new cards I got. Seems like I'm not likely to see it at this point, at this rate. So I could see people getting overburdened immediately by putting a project up. I could see people going power mad very quickly. I think there is probably some barrier to entry using Git anyways, which as a revisioning system that probably eliminates some low effort submissions, but probably doesn't eliminate enough from the perspective of creators or people who manage the projects. Inherently, this is where the non-technical people can help with any technical project, certainly, is that if you have someone who's a total people person who can totally manage people and schedule things, them being the manager of a GitHub repo while the actual programmers can just program and submit the code is probably a great idea. But yeah, a lot of GitHub projects certainly have like ridiculous style guides that, yeah, I get it, but I don't think when somebody has a brand new idea, you should shoot down their brand new idea just because they didn't format the value in all caps because your style guide says use all caps, or in lowercase because your style guide says lowercase. And I bet there definitely are two conflicting style guides like that. So that was something certainly that I ran into also in one of my college classes in programming, is that the college class was being taught by the wife of the head teacher of the computer science department, and she didn't know anything about programming. She was grading off of a basically a checklist. She knew what she was told what the code should look like, and any deviations, even the slightest, from what the code should look like was counted off. And so in one project, I submitted the code. The code worked perfectly fine. I misspelled a variable every single time. Now, if you misspell a variable every single time, it doesn't matter. When it's compiled and executed into a binary, that the misspelling of a value name is pointless. It gets ripped out anyways. So you have had this situation where I was getting marked down fairly severely, if I recall correctly, for neatness counts, penmanship type things, when you're talking computer science. And at that point, I realized this person, I'd already kind of figured it out, but I really realized that this person had no knowledge as far as computer science or programming, that she was just going to teach this class, and that this class was just going to be the thing I had to put up with to get to the 102 class, and then maybe at that point I would start learning things. And part of the problem, certainly for me when I was in college, is that I had already done, like in high school, 3 or 4 years worth of programming classes. So to start at 101 and be taught the exact same thing from the exact same book as if I hadn't known anything at all, and to be told that that you cannot test out of the 101 and start in the 102 class, and that you have to go through this, it was like, nope, I'm not putting up with this. And so suffice it to say, I did not put up with it, and I'm much happier with it, with not wasting my time for what potentially could have been 2 or 3 years of a 4-year degree to relearn things I had already known. Of course, part of the scam of college too is if you want to be a computer programmer, that they're still going to force you to go through several core classes, which, I mean, when you're talking English, history, mathematics, and spelling, like, those are things that anybody who's made it to college level has already done 12 years plus of that. So it's not realistic in my mind to once again say you're going to have more of this. Of course, there are definitely some people that somehow make it to college and they don't know anything because the public education system just passes people to get rid of them, or that they've cheated their entire 12 years of before college levels, and by cheating they don't know anything. And there's really no excuse for that. There's one thing to be specialized and maybe be an idiot in every other general subject, but it's a completely different thing to be completely idiotic. Which certainly I could go into a rant about. That's why sports should not be allowed in college at all. On any level. Like, there should probably be gyms so people can exercise, and maybe health class, but like anything that is not about using your mind completely. shouldn't be in college. And we would start to see colleges actually start focusing on actually educating people if they could not focus their entire budgets and attention towards winning basketball, footballs, volleyball, soccer teams, things like that. Yeah, I definitely didn't really end up getting a lot of new things. So is there anything else I want to talk about? And I still haven't gotten around to finishing Left 4 Dead, which that definitely highlights how I'm not particularly enthralled with that. I guess here we don't want to really roll anything, because 40 is about as good as you're going to get anyway, so we'll try Forcecraft decks today. We've got a lot of news, certainly. Yeah, I guess I could say Omx Player, when run from emulation station, needs to be run with the -R command, so it refreshes the video mode. Otherwise, it won't actually show the video. And that took a long time to figure out why this would run from a script, but it wouldn't run from executing the same script. I'm running into a lot of things because I had written the codes on Windows, and as such, because I originally had written the scripts in Windows, they didn't have the right permissions, so a lot of permission errors. A lot of programs that I'm having to run as the super user to kill other programs. Yeah, Omx Player actually is a script that runs omxplayer.bin, so when I want to shut it down, I have to actually find a different file called omxplayer.bin. Well, you don't have to find it, you just type in kill all space omxplayer.bin. This is, of course, all very technical and very possibly not going to be of use to anybody. This is a kind of project that in my mind desperately needs to be submitted as a pull request to RetroPie and accepted to RetroPie, because when you have these kind of side projects, and when I look in Google and see how other people have already tried it and either succeeded or failed, but then the documentation or the solution has not been put out to be available for anybody, that's just redundant waste of time. And there's a big difference between doing something somebody else has done because you want to challenge yourself and learn, and then doing something somebody else has done because you can't find the final product or the code. It was never released.
There's no other way. There's no retreat.
Because honestly, if you had told me 2 days ago, just install this and it would automatically, well, I actually tried that, and I tried to find scripts and install it.
It's beautiful tonight.
Yep. So
Stop it! Stop it!
that would be ideally what I would have wanted to do, is just install something and move forward from that perspective.
Yeah, I love this job. Of course I do.
Let's see, do this.
Let's play. Hey, let's play.
Do we want to evolve here?
The hunt has only begun.
So sparkly. Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah, adorable to the end.
Everyone needs an afterlife plan.
There we go. Yeah, but once I get this whole setup done, part of the problem though is, like, I will say RetroPie,
There is no
while I
retreat.
was installing and setting it up, was very often just messing up completely. You really should only install the base image, and you can update the RetroPie software, but you cannot update the base or Raspbian software. It will just break something every time, and I don't know if that is because it's pointing to an unstable beta branch when it should really be by default pointing to a more stable branch, or if it is
Tonight.
or if it is just buggy.
Things I do for fashion.
Let's see.
I won't let you get away.
Let's just go ahead and evolve here.
So sparkly.
But yeah, once everything is set up, I'm gonna make a kind of base image and use that as a backup. That way I don't have to do a full install and start all over again. I have this cheap secondary monitor. I'd like it to potentially try and work with something, but it probably won't with this project. The Prime Day sale is about to happen, so like one of the things I've realized is like Samsung phones give you a terrible charger that just does not give enough power for Raspberry Pis, and that's pretty much the only chargers I have. So if I could find bigger chargers, that would be great to use. I did use one for my Legends Gamer fight stick, and that charger actually works without causing a low voltage warning, which every single Samsung one does give the
My domain reaches to
low
the
voltage
ends of the
warning.
skies.
And so
You beckoned. This
I would've-
is the end.
I should have evolved this, shouldn't I?
So sparkly.
For the cuddle. I'll live again.
So yeah, that's something else I'll try and keep an eye on during the Prime Day sale, is if I could just get some new batteries. I doubt there's going to be a lot of electronics, though. Like with the circuit shortage and all, it really wouldn't make a lot of sense that there would be a ton of electronics for sale. And I imagine the Prime Day sale is going to be fairly limited because of that. I've also, as trying to work on this, if you don't follow the procedure, and this is probably true for everybody, and nobody follows it, or very few people follow it, but like,
Stop it.
if for this, using the software to load a Linux file system, you basically have to unplug my micro SD card to USB adapter from the computer, plug the micro SD card into the adapter, then plug the adapter into the computer, work on it, safely unmount it, which everybody's supposed to do, but few people do, and then after that you have to unplug it, then remove the micro SD card. It's a lot of work.
The uncharted desert awaits.
Okay.
Time to break some faces. Safe? Check. Frills? Double check. Adorable to the
So yeah, there's a whole process there where you're having to go through 5 steps where you would like to just be able to safely eject the card and pull it out and just plug it in, pull out the memory card and plug it back into the USB adapter without having to unplug the USB adapter and replug the USB adapter. Because yeah, that's any little step is slowing down the process, and it stops at some point being a leisurely pace of working on a side project as much as it is just, oh, this is wasting my time, and over the weekend I could have been scheduling instead, or I could have been recording content. Like those are definitely considerations.
Woodland Fortress at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Gotta report
You hit this.
Split. Well, I thought it was impressive.
And then maybe you can do this.
Play. Yeah.
Maybe you can do that.
Adorable to the end. Yeah.
And then that,
What do we have here?
that,
Best of luck
and
to you.
that.
Moon's beautiful tonight.
And that's not enough to win, so we're dead. But yeah.
Nice marksmanship.
And I can only go so far. I need to start talking about news. We got tons of news and I'm just rambling here. I can only go so far really with the Raspberry Pi 3 setup because I've got to plug it into a monitor, which messes up my whole computer configuration unless I bring a 4th monitor into the room. At a certain point I'm going to run out of power outlets. But so I'm using like my 3rd monitor to do it, and it's only going to go so far before it's going to be fairly obvious that there's not as much space on that setup. Like, I'm building one build that's going to be kind of the curated list of ROMs, where the PC version is going to be the historical collection, which I don't know. I'm still not sure if the historical collection is going to be try to get everything or just everything of relevancy. At a certain point it probably would just be easier to do everything. But each one of those is going to potentially have a slightly different setup, although I'm going to try and make it all look good. One of the things I don't like about RetroPie is that it comes with this carbon fiber theme called Carbon, and it's just not in the realm of what old video games are. Like, old video games were never fancy carbon fiber. If they were, that you're talking maybe 2003, 2004 would be my guess. You're not talking 1983. You're not talking even the harsh era of the 90s Attitude Era. So it just doesn't line up. There is a theme I suggest called comic book that makes things look way better, in my opinion, way more colorful, way prettier. Like, I couldn't really see a suggestion as to why Carbon is the default, other than probably copyright claim reasons or things like that, or just like they probably should make a contest or something to introduce have a choice as far as what the new theme should be. They should probably make a new theme too. That is the funny thing about RetroPie 2, is that there's very little they can add or change. They can only just upgrade things. Raspberry Pi 4 support. I mean, is great and all, but that hardware itself doesn't really change the setup, because they're not really going to be able to add new systems, or they're highly unlikely to be able to add new systems.
The hunt has only begun.
I'm ready for more. What do we have here?
Big trouble now.
Yeah. Anyways, so right now I'm assuming some E3 stuff is happening too. So what we'll probably do today is not a lot of catch up after the end of the stream, and if anything, we may very well not really cover as many video games that have come out on Steam. Oh, there is a Steam sale, well, a way to get Steam credit a little bit cheaper right now. If you go to Target and you're Target in the area selling gift cards, you can buy physical gift cards from Steam. Buy one, get the second one 15% off. They come in $20, $50, and $100 values, I believe. And if you have a red card, you tend to get more of a percentage off for the Target shopper card. Of course, there's probably other ways that you could get a similar discount to that 15% as far as a cashback card. So keep an eye on that possibility too. This is like, that's the worst time to play that card. Oh. We had the announcement of Borderlands stuff, and noticeably Mad Moxie was not in it, although a lot of characters were not in the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and they're not going to be in the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. But Moxie as a character has been, I think, slightly de-emphasized. I think the feeling is definitely different in the minds of people. I think they're a little bit more woke now and wouldn't draw a character like Moxie. But yeah, Borderlands 3 did retweet some cosplayer here doing Mad Moxie, which I haven't seen that in a while. So that's something. I wouldn't be surprised if part of the reason why Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is coming out is to potentially get most of the characters to be forgotten about from the Borderlands series. But if you did that, Borderlands and any spin-off of Borderlands is going to be incredibly boring unless you think you can write more interesting characters, which honestly, that's probably been a running problem with the Borderlands series, is that they're constantly trying to put in new characters and then make those new characters interesting in a staggered succession. Because in Borderlands 2, you get 4 new characters to play as, and then they try to make the first 4 characters interesting, where they really shouldn't have had personalities, since they were playable characters in the first game. And I imagine Borderlands 3 tries to go in that same direction, where the new characters from the playable characters in Borderlands 2, now all of a sudden they're going to have personalities. Alright.
I need more cuddles.
Let's see, can we do this? Should we do this? I think that's good. So here we have a game on Steam called The Feeble Files. I'm going to just try to burn through a lot of these, particularly a lot of the announcements from E3. Like, a lot of games came out and showed trailers, and that's all they did. And they were very early trailers. This is $5.09, bunch of languages. It doesn't look interesting. One of our new news sources, inventioncommunity.co.uk, has a story here. Golf Clash partners Bryson DeChambeau for all new content, which I guess that's a golfer, and I guess Golf Clash is a golfing game. That's about as much as I can say. Let's see. Fairy in hand. Can I evolve? I think you hit this. I think you hit this. I think you play this.
Hey, let's play.
I think you play this.
Hey, let's play.
I think you hit that.
I can't move.
I think you play that. That was wrong. But whatever. Yeah. Envision co-community also says Mortal Shell the Virtuous Cycle DLC revealed. Mortal Shell was that game where you take over different people's bodies, different monsters' bodies. Also following Game Spew, which says Kina Bridge of Spirits shines as brightly as a Pixar movie. I guess I didn't clean up this as a news source, so I'm gonna have to assume that I am still thinking about Game Spew. I've forgotten over the course of the week. This is a great game to use as an example where this has been announced. We've seen trailers of this, we've seen hints at this. Unless there was a game completely similar to this game, and I'm thinking of that. So, like, unless that's the case,
I won't let you get away.
This is one of those examples of an E3 announcement that really doesn't tell us anything new, for better or worse. Let's see what this does. Select an enemy that can't attack. Evolve. Or get this. Get this. Get this. Get this. Play that.
Hatred is a curse.
Like that. Gematsu has Sonic Colors Ultimate Planet Wisp Act 4 gameplay and screenshots. Check that out if you're interested. I think we're going to pretty much have a blanket ban this week of watching any videos, or a fairly consistent ban on that. Probably not a blanket ban.
Stop it.
Because otherwise this is going to be a lot of work. A lot of announcement stuff. This. Attack that.
I guess this is it. Well, I'm already a proper lady, you know. Don't hurt me.
I might actually win here. Game Sutra has Ubisoft debuts its open world Avatar game and other titles at Ubisoft Forward. Let's see. What were these? This may just cover all of Ubisoft Forward. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, Riders Republic, a extreme sports game. Just Dance 2022. A lot of these streams I barely paid attention to. Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC Discovery Mode, Far Cry 6, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. This was, I think the Ubisoft Forward was also the first event, which that very well may have played a role there. As far as to why it's not as memorable. Let's see. Gamasutra has Xbox reveals Starfield and Redfall at its E3 press conference. Starfield, the Bethesda space Elder Scrolls type game. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, Back for Blood was also shown. A game called Contraband. It's a co-op open world game. Basically the Xbox / Bethesda presentation also highlighted that pretty much every game is going to be an Xbox exclusive. They showed off Psychonauts 2 and it now has a release date for August 25th. They showed off a game called Party Animals, which is a Gang Beast-like, I guess. Somerville, which is a moody alien invasion exploration title. Yeah, not a lot really when they show these things off too. It's just little trailers. Halo Infinite had a trailer. Plague Tale Requiem, I think that was announced. Slime Rancher 2, I think that was announced. A game called Shredders, as a snowboarding game. A game called Replaced. It's just a 2D action game. Let's see.
Ready? Here goes! Into the blue! And beyond! Not one for pranks.
Guess we'll do that. So I can attack twice there. Among Us is coming to Xbox. Age of Empires 4, The Outer Worlds 2, Microsoft Flight Sim is coming to Xbox Series X and S. Forza Horizon 5, Redfall, which is a vampire hunting game. A lot of these are also apparently coming day one with Xbox Game Pass, which they're definitely trying to increase value on people who have the Game Pass. We might look a little bit further into the depth of this. Okay. So if I do this, and then this, and then do this.
An opening and you're toast.
This is the end.
Sorry, but the time for games is over. One helping of this and it's 99 for you.
Stop it.
There we go. Let's see. Gamasutra has exploring rainy childhood boredom and curiosity in rainy season.
Looks like I won.
Which this is a game I think we had already heard about. And so we're gonna really struggle today and probably not even really succeed at finding relevant bits of information. There is just going to be a lot of the same thing said over and over again. Some of the things I think I'll just save some time and read out loud. Gamasutra has an article, for instance, here that says Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has clocked 20 million players. There's not really a lot to say there. Here we have Facebook expands its Oculus Studios with Big Box VR acquisition. This is another Gamasutra article.
Small fry.
See, we may have already talked about this, but Gamatsu says CD Projekt Red and Netflix have announced a WitcherCon for July 9th, which is kind of weird that CD Projekt Red would be working with Netflix when The Witcher on Netflix is actually working with the book writer. But I guess maybe that all got settled in legal proceedings and everybody's all happy now. Let's see, Gametsu has Ken Bridge of Spirits, hands-on preview, and all of that. I'll just go ahead and I think we had already talked about Bro Falls anyways. We'll just go ahead and try and go through all of this because I have just an entire top bar of Gametsu articles talking about games. So, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus announced for the PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Is this a sequel or is this an expanded version of the horror game that pretends to be a visual novel romance game? 6 new side stories about friendship. So there's new content in it, and because this was a Subversive surprise game, I wouldn't be surprised if the 6 new stories actually are what they're claiming it has, when actually there's a lot more to it than that. So that is new content. Blood Bowl 3 Elven Union trailer is here if you're interested. Skatebird launches August 12th. That's an actual date. I kind of had forgotten about Skatebird. There definitely is a list of games that have been just like put on the back burner / secretly canceled.
Your defeat was foretold.
Beyond Good and Evil 2, for instance. So seems to have not gotten any announcement. There's still plenty of E3, so there's more things that could be announced, but yeah, there's definitely things that have been passed on or not talked about.
Hey, let's play. Let's play. Help me, fairies. Hey, let's play.
See, I think we already talked about this Mortal Shell DLC, the Virtuous Cycle. Sifu Nightclub gameplay teaser and trailer. Sifu is this kind of third-person action fighting game that I don't know if it's going to be quick time events or rhythm-based or what. Deal 1 damage.
Help me, fairies. I'm gonna rest for a bit. Who are you calling a lizard?
Just gotta play this, I guess. Gotta not lose momentum. Ollie Ollie World E3 trailer has been updated with screenshots. First-person action adventure game Blacktail has been announced for the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Seems to be create the myth of Baba Yaga. Yeah, and I'm just gonna try to very much not scroll down and on any of these articles. This is one I didn't see, probably because it's a minute 50 seconds long game trailer. Looks like it's some kind of horror archery themed game. There might be something more to it, there might be nothing to it.
Hey, let's play. Yeah. Stay away from me. Yeah. Is that it done? Yeah.
I could have saved that one and used a non-evolved version. Very. Death's Gambit Afterlife has been announced for the PS4, Switch, and PC. This apparently is an expansion on
I loved her. She
something
was everything to me.
called Death's Gambit.
I'll smash you good.
Yep, these are
You let go of
okay.
my hand.
Best of luck to you.
Oh, these thumbnails definitely confuse it. Yeah. I don't know if I've actually seen this game before, but it looks interesting as kind of a Castlevania-esque game. So maybe with more content it might be a little bit better. Maybe it didn't need that new content.
Hey, let's play.
Right, so if I do this, that would do 2, that would do 2, and now kill it.
We're together forever.
Let's see, a game called Steel Rising, the Uprising trailer. Which, this looks like that game with the weird mechanical automatons. Or at least that thumbnail did, but that's not what this game is. What was that game? It definitely was a game with mechanical automatons. It wasn't this game.
Shade imaginable.
Let's see. Tokimeki Memorial Girls Side Fourth Heart launches October 28th in Japan. So this probably is a visual novel. Yeah, it's an Otome visual novel. That's why it's lesser heard of.
There you are, my little trespasser.
Or why I haven't heard of it.
How did I miss that?
Let's see. Bang Dream Girls Band, or Band G Dream Girls Band Party for Switch as a short trailer coming out September 16th in Japan. Looks like it's a rhythm game. And yeah, we can generally just from the thumbnail I think assume that this is going to try to sell itself as an anime-esque J-pop group rhythm game. Let's see.
Scatter you to the four winds.
Black Book gameplay trailer screenshots and demos are now available for Xbox One. I don't recognize this game, but apparently it's on Steam, so we should check that out, I guess. Apparently it's something I totally missed because it's not on my follow list, nor is it on my wish list, and it does look interesting enough to potentially be on that list. This is a demo. Ah, that's the reason. So the actual game has not been out yet. Yeah, that explains it. Alright, well, standard rules apply, I suppose.
This is where
Don't bother
I
to
truly shine. We're together forever.
put prologues and
The hunt
demos
has
on the
only begun.
follow list, the wish list.
All the magic. Is that how you treat a lady?
Let's see, Origami 2 gameplay sneak peek, 3 minutes of footage. And again, this is all just Gematsu stuff. Action rescue platformer Fire Girl is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC this fall. Which, There was a, like, rushing game where you played as a firefighter. There was a mobile game. I wonder if this is doing some of that, and they've kind of improved upon it some more. That mobile game though had fairly bad graphics, and it was very much about just doing runs over and over again to grind up. Where this looks like it might be something more, but it might be nothing too, because at the core of it, even that game wasn't that good. We gotta do this.
And those acorns flying out of the woods.
And then this.
Now's a chance for a grand slam.
And then this.
Hey, let's play. Now's a chance for a grand slam.
And then.
I won't let you get away.
For the cuddles. Do you understand now?
See if that works as a strategy. Let's see. A retro action adventure game called Hunt the Night has been announced for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. I still am scrolling down some of these because some of these do interest me.
Nice marksmanship.
But this definitely highlights the problem with E3 where you're just putting all your announcements on 1 week or 1 weekend's worth of events when we've been completely dry as far as news for months and months and months. Like pretty much back to January. That seems to be fairly consistent every year, even when it's not a pandemic year. Hunt the Night, in its actual reveal trailers, not anywhere as enthusiastic or as good as I had wanted it to look.
My quarry won't escape.
Apparently, a game called Demon Turf and now has a
fighting in
PS5 and
despair all
PS4
you know?
version, which, yeah, I don't recognize it. There definitely are games that I don't recognize. I guess the reason why I don't recognize them, though, it's like at some point I may just get enough confidence to say, oh, I don't recognize it, it must not be out yet. Which, Gamatsu, if I can complain about one thing Gamatsu does, which I really can't because so many other video game sites do so much worse, they seem to like to link to Steam pages for games that aren't out yet without really warning you. A story-driven action-adventure game called Arietta of Spirits launches this summer on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Yep. A lot of them, you're running about 60 or 70% of games that have cutesy thumbnails to then turn out to have pixel graphics, which I won't inherently reject a game just because it has pixel graphics, but certainly it does not help my first impression. But I guess they have to also set expectations. You wouldn't want to like hyper realistic looking game in the trailer and then have awful looking pixel graphics in the actual gameplay. Start with playing it. Let's see. Arcade Paradise, welcome to the King Wash Laundry trailer. Which... yeah, Gamatsu has a very consistent format, don't they? Is this a collection of old games, or is this a collection of new games that look like old games? Or is this something else completely? Those are new games. Yeah. Yeah, new games designed to look like old games.
May the forest be at peace.
see. Kitsune Tales adds a Switch version, which maybe we've seen this game.
Let us pray for victory.
Yeah, you're just going in circles here. Definitely where it's like you're going to have to look at every game because you're going to have to remember whether it's this game or the game that's slightly similar to this game, because there's just that high possibility that that is going to be the case.
He's a curse.
The hunt has only begun.
End their suffering. Wither.
Hit this,
My king.
then play this,
Let's play.
and play that.
Let's play.
Go ahead and attack here.
Help me, fairies.
Go ahead and attack
I'm
there.
gonna rest for a bit.
You broke the curse?
See, we have a game called Wolfstride Action Trailer. Demo launches June 16th. This looks like it probably isn't anything. A little too black and white, a little too pixely. What does this do? 4 damage to all followers.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
Let's play.
I won't let you get away.
Sorry, but the time for games is over.
Let's see. Raj, an epic and Ancient Epic Enhanced Edition has been announced for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Fairly new game for them to be bringing out an Enhanced Edition, but I don't think that the original version particularly was well received, so
You're done
maybe
for.
that can get more people's attention.
Perfect melody.
I don't like talking about Kickstarters, but life simulation RPG called
Got your
Coco
message
Paz
loud and clear.
Atlas has been announced for PC. A Kickstarter apparently is planned. Like, honestly, it's probably not even worth your time watching the trailer on something that is potentially going to not even happen just because of a Kickstarter.
Woodland Fortress at 12 o'clock.
Do this.
Let's
Do
play.
this.
Let's play. Yeah. No.
Let's see. Snacko adds a Switch version and launches in 2022. Yeah, there's a lot of announcements for things that aren't going to be out for 6 months minimum. If anything, that's pretty much all E3 is. A game called Hoa, I assume that's Hoa, not HOA, launches August 24th on all these platforms. Puzzle platformer.
is a miracle.
See if we can quickly see what this is. There might be something there, but probably not. See, Button City launches in Q3 for all these platforms. What's Button City? Racing game? Collection of different events, I think. Low poly narrative adventure is what it's described as.
I'm already a proper lady, you know. I've been spotted. We doing this? Yeah! Yeah! Stop! Gotta report this lickety split!
Should I have evolved? Probably. Let's see. Tosomachi Behind Twilight coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch in 2021.
Real battle begins.
Currently available on PC.
Well, I thought it was impressive.
Let's see what it looks like on Steam. This is the one that oddly was very negative originally, and then all of a sudden it became positively reviewed. I don't know if they just fixed performance issues. Generally, though, I think there really is no game to this, and you're just floating around looking and investigating, unless
There you
they've done
are,
something.
my little trespasser.
Why did that not work? Because it can't be targeted by enemy effects.
Is that how you treat a
Darn it.
lady? No way!
Well,
This
we
is the
gotta
end.
evolve here.
Say you're sorry to the cuddlies.
That and that.
No!
A game called Sally has been announced for PC, a game about maintaining a flying transport ship, which does not seem particularly too different from some of the other games we've seen where you're maintaining ships of some sort. In theory, looking at it though, wow, does this look like this is a kid's game? Which that's not a bad thing by any means. The animation looks pretty terrible, as is almost to be expected. So I wonder if this is kind of a sim game where you're maintaining the lives of all the passengers, or if it's something else. Like, who knows? Well, if I do this, I can get rid of that.
This is where I truly shine! No!
Then I can evolve
The
that.
hunt has only begun.
I've got all the magic I... Is that how you
Get rid of
treat a
that.
lady?
What an oath.
Hit that and
No!
that.
I'll do whatever.
Crime has an opening cinematic. I think opening cinematics in particular probably are not high priority. Like, because we just have no idea what kind of game this even is.
Our journey is just
So-
beginning.
I need more cuddles.
Where I flip, my blade follows.
You know, there really is
Mighty roar, evildoers!
an argument. Like, projects obviously need to have end dates and things like that. You can't just say don't you can't just let people work on whatever they want to work on for the rest of their lives.
The world cycles on.
Alright, well,
Hey, let's play! Hey, let's play!
this is gonna be kind of silly to do it this way, but
This is
whatever.
as far as I can go. You read my moves.
Stop it.
Let's see. Watch Dogs Legions DLC Bloodline launches July 6th.
Transformation!
Rainbow Six Extraction launches September 16th. Rainbow Six Siege crossplay and cross progression launch dates have been announced. What are those launch dates? Crossplay between, well, let's see. Between PC, Stadia, and Luna will happen on June 30th. Crossplay for the PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One will follow in early 2021. I think one of these was supposed to be Xbox Series S, and one of these was supposed to be Xbox Series S, or vice versa. I just need to do a few damage.
Stop it!
And I can win. Let's see, we are Mario and Rabbids Spark for Hope announced for the Switch. Which I guess you'd want to catch up and play the first game. Far Cry Meet the Villain, Anton trailer, and Season Pass have been announced. We already talked about Avatar Frontiers of Pandora for PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and Stadia. Right. There's kind of nothing here that I can play that makes this any easier or worse.
There you are, my little trespasser.
So we just do that and do that and win. The Devolver Digital joke presentations must have gone up in a level. Their joke
Looks like
presentation
I won.
streams have become, I think, more about actually announcing games now, and they've gotten away from the craziness. And I don't know if that is because of the pandemic or just the fact that they are going to paint themselves into a corner of not being able to go any further with the ridiculous presentations that they were doing. But it was a decent run of doing something very subversive. I'll grant them that. But Devolver Digital, as actually a business making good video games and publishing games, has over that same period of time done only
My
moderately
quarry won't
well
escape that
as
easy.
far as actually releasing interesting games. Let's keep on going. Gametsu Shadow Warrior 3 second official gameplay trailer. Devolver Digital and Flying Wild Hog announced a side-scrolling adventure game called Trek to Yomi for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Let's see if we can kind of see what this is. Looks very like a Japanese movie, but yeah, it's more of a side-scrolling hack and slash fighting game. That might work. Take the idea of what was that black and white one with the boy, and add some more gameplay mechanic to that instead of just puzzling. Although, once you introduce the idea of action, you may demand a higher level of action than what a 2D side-scrolling game can actually provide. A PC game called Phantom Abyss launches in early access in June 22. Let's see. Devolver Digital and Doinksoft announced a physical-only Demon Throttle for the Switch, which, well, Demon Throttle, if I was to guess, is some kind of top-down twin-stick shooter game, but it looks like an old NES game from the looks of it. Was not expecting that. Yep, it's kind of a great example of just the weirdness, the directions that Devolver Digital goes with what they're publishing. Death's Door launches July 20th. This is a game we know anything about? Looks like it's a top-down hack and slash, maybe roguelike. Looks interesting. Yeah, but of course, all of this is going to look interesting. That's the problem.
The uncharted desert awaits.
Help me, fairies.
Let's keep on going. Devolver Digital and Galvanic Games announced an online co-op sandbox survival game called Wizard with a Gun for Switch. Which, yeah, part of the problem I would say with the Devolver Digital presentation still, even though it wasn't as crazy as the previous presentations, is that there was such a little focus on games, as I wasn't really paying attention, that I did not see any of this. And some of that definitely comes down to the problem of watching the co-stream instead of just watching the original live stream from the content creator themselves. I would have probably done better to not have it was either layman gaming, which I don't know if I recommend actually following layman gaming or not, or Giant Bomb, and both of them would like turn things down or talk over things, and as soon as they turn something down and talk over it, you're not paying attention to the original presentation.
I'll face you head on.
I just found out, and they probably were intentionally keeping it secret, that the YouTube channel Dead Meat is actually part of the Rooster Teeth family of productions or podcasts. And I was like, oh, I did not realize that
The hunt
I
has
was
only begun.
being kind of advertised to. That way. Let's see. There's really no reason to do that.
It looks like I'm up.
What do we have here?
Help me, fairies.
Let's see. Devolver Digital and Daniel Mullins Games announced as a card-based Odyssey game. Never heard of that company. Called Inscription.
Let the land be graced by beauty.
Doesn't look terrible. It looks like it might be slightly interesting. Although it might also be fairly short. That's always the problem with any kind of card-based game. Whether it's a deck-building game or a collectible card game. A smartphone game called Devolver Tumble Time has been announced for iOS and Android. I doubt there's anything here. Yeah, it seems like it's maybe a joke mobile game that's not even that good. But I don't know. That's the problem with Devolver Digital also, is that you just never know if they wouldn't just release a completely joke game, that because they've kind of done it before. Godfall from Gearbox is coming to PS4 alongside its expansion for Fire and Darkness. Yep. So I don't think anybody's really interested in Godfall, but we'll leave it there. Let's see. Can we kill something here? And then do this.
Hey, let's play.
And then do this.
Hey, let's play.
And then do that.
Hey, let's play.
And then we'll just attack with that. Let's see. A game called Fracked Ski Storm has some gameplay trailer. It's a PlayStation VR game due out this summer. Looks like it's some kind of skiing / shooting game. Unbound Worlds Apart launches July 28th for Switch and PC, later in 2021 for PlayStation and Xbox. Looks like it's... I don't know, actually. It's kind of hard to tell with that one screenshot, because that could just be a conversation cutscene. Yeah, it looks like it's a side-scrolling game, puzzle, platforming type stuff. Heart of the Woods launches July 8th for Switch, and August for PS5, Xbox Series, and PS4 and Xbox One. This obviously looks like a visual novel. Starfield launches November 11th for Xbox Series and PC, so it's not just an Xbox exclusive. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl launches April 28th, 2022 for PC and Xbox Series. Back 4 Blood is coming to Xbox Game Pass on day 1. Yeah, one of the things I would say about Back 4 Blood that I want to keep an eye out is, are there any female zombies at all? Because there definitely is a problem in Left 4 Dead, in which the witch is the only real female zombie, and she's in her underwear crying in a corner before you startle her, and then she kills you. Whereas every other monster is aggressive and powerful and runs towards you. And also fully clothed for the most part. I think completely fully clothed, actually. Alright, let's see.
I'm already a proper lady, you know.
I won't let you get away.
Let's just see if this can do anything.
To the ends of the skies.
Let's see. Microsoft and Avalanche Studios announces a co-op Smuggler's Paradise called Contraband for Xbox Series and PC.
Stop it!
We recognize this game. Honestly, I think I was paying the most attention in the Xbox presentation. Yep, this is just a teaser. It's apparently from the developers of Just Cause. Let's see. Yakuza Like a Dragon is now available via Game Pass for consoles, PC, and cloud. Battlefield 2042 gameplay reveal trailer. I don't think we need to watch that. You probably know what that is. 12 Minutes launches August 19th. This is the game where somebody breaks in and basically kidnaps you, kills you, and you relive the same 12 minutes over and over again. Seemingly, from the demos over the past couple of years, it seems like they're trying to really program it well, and to program it well, I think they have kind of failed. Well, I might have been able to kill that, but that wouldn't have saved me anyways. 12 minutes very possibly is less than a 2-hour game. It would just be very complicated to have to live through time loops over and over again. I think we'll stick with fairies, since we're doing fairly well with them. Psychonauts 2 launches August 25th. I would say that the artwork and the art style of Psychonauts 2 is a slight improvement over Psychonauts 1, particularly in the way they style. Obviously, the artwork itself will look fine, but they still kind of look like just grotesque Muppets characters, and I would have tried to make them look a little bit more normal. This trailer does seem to indicate that you will have some platforming, but you may very well have a very similar experience to the first game, in which there's a little bit of platforming, but there's a lot of cutscenes. I'm not seeing anything that indicates there will be fewer cutscenes, for sure. Hades is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One on August 13th. Somerville launches in 2022 for Xbox, Xbox One, and PC. What is this game? Some kind of narrative story with some walking and some kind of weirdness. It almost feels like War of the Worlds if you were set in the United States instead of England, UK, and had a family instead of just one main character in the War of the Worlds, which not a bad idea. Frankly, the War of the Worlds concept, if it could be done as well as the World of the Worlds story, should be attempted. Like, the people should have been trying that for a while. We don't get a lot of narrative run for your life type stories. Instead, we get a lot of Independence Day type stories where we blow up the aliens. Let's see. Guess you do this, and then I guess you don't do anything else. Diablo 2 Resurrected launches September 23rd. I assume this is a remastered version of Diablo 2. And you could get the Diablo 3 Eternal Collection, which is, I guess, expansions and bundled together. Now would not be the time, in my opinion, though, to play Diablo. I think the hope is that Activision Blizzard is going to either go bankrupt and get taken over by a new company, or get close enough to bankruptcy that they get taken over by a new company, or they get acquired, and then maybe with that you can say the Activision part of that company gets fired and they hire back a bunch of the employees who have left. Maybe. It really is pie in the sky. Best case scenario would be Activision Blizzard goes in bankruptcy, Microsoft or some other company decides to buy the assets, and they decide to release Diablo in QuickTime on Steam instead of just putting it all through the Battle.net platform. Okay. This one. And then this one. And then this one. And do we want to evolve? Well, we can't even do that, so
Help me, fairy.
just do that. Slime Rancher 2 is announced for the Xbox Series and PC. That's more reason for me to get around to playing Slime Rancher 1. I think I bought that game, but I'm not sure. A 2.5D sci-fi futuristic action platformer called Replaced has been announced for the Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC. There's kind of barely even any difference to say if it's coming out for Xbox Series versus Xbox One. I guess what that really just means is that there's still a few games coming out for Xbox One, where this probably is the year, if you really ran the numbers, there's probably a decent number of people that are not going to support Xbox One and are only going to support the series. Which, yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, now is probably not the time that you would want to have to buy an Xbox Series S to replace your Xbox One X or S. Just because you want to play one game.
Impossible.
Let's see.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
The hunt has only begun.
Should have
Sorry, but the
probably
time for
evolved
games
this
is over.
one. Or whatever. The Outer Worlds 2 has been announced for Xbox Series and PC. I'm not sure I'm going to get around to playing the Outer Worlds. as a series. Euden Chronicle 100 Heroes launches in 2023, 2 years from now, proceeding by a town building action RPG. This is all stuff that we had pretty much heard weeks ago, if I recall correctly. So yeah, either I'm having a strange sense of deja vu, or we had already heard that information.
I won't let you get away.
So smart.
Let's see. Forza Horizon 5 announced for Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC. Bethesda Softworks and Arcane Austin announced an open world co-op first-person shooter called Redfall, where it's basically Left 4 Dead but fighting vampires, and it seems like we've got like a couple of games here that are trying to be Left 4 Dead, which some of that might make a little bit of sense, in that they were taking too long to make a Left 4 Dead 3 or something like that. Also, the idea of 4 players fighting monsters makes more sense than the asynchronous monster games where 1 player is way more powerful and trying to defeat 4 players, which had been the rage or the trend before that, before now or recently. So hopefully we'll see maybe better implementations of 4-player co-op type games instead of attempts at asynchronous multiplayer, which I don't think really works. Still getting all this from Komatsu. Microsoft Flight Simulator for Xbox Series launches July 27th. A free Top Gun Maverick expansion launches November 19th. Which, okay. Let's see. We do this. I should have actually done this first. Let's see. Halo Infinite multiplayer has a reveal trailer. You can check that out if you're interested. This Atomic Heart trailer. Now, this is one of those games that this was already talked about and shown to some level. I know I've heard about Atomic Heart. Maybe they haven't really done too much with it. But Giant Bomb apparently had not heard about it at all. Unless I'm thinking of something completely different that is just similar. And as far as what this game actually is, it seems like it is, if I was to guess, a secret like Russian facility during the height of the Cold War manages to open a portal to like different realities and bring in all kinds of like science and technology. Definitely when I first saw this, I was thinking, oh, this would be really cool if this was the new BioShock, because it kind of felt like that. There's a point here where he's hitting things with lightning with his left hand, and he's hacking with the left hand, and he's shooting with the right hand. And that does seem to me to feel like this is going to be one of those BioShock style games where you have magic in the left hand and real 5 defense or left.
There you are, my little trespasser.
Play that. Play that.
Let's play.
Let's see. Yeah, but Atomic Heart, it's gonna be one of those games we'll have to see too, because it could just be weird in the cut trailer, and then the actual game could be fairly short or boring. Here we have a game called Shredders launching in December. They described it on Giant Bomb as a game like Tony Hawk Downhill Jam, or just they were describing snowboarding games in general as they were describing that nobody around the table seemed to even like snowboarding games, which is weird. Speaking of weird, Square Enix did like a 30-minute presentation for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxies, which it was a lot, certainly. A Telltale style game, I think, is what they're going for there. It was, I think, supposed to be a Telltale game originally, unless they did make a Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game. But yeah, definitely seems like it's going to be a lot. A Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster series has been announced for PC, iOS, and Android, consisting of all the Final Fantasy games up to 6. Which is interesting if they actually put some effort into it. The question certainly would come down to what's getting really remastered here. Is it anything at all, or is it just them running ROMs? Getting this whole collection is a weird situation too, because nobody really has time to play the first 6 Final Fantasy games. I'm not even sure all of them are connected in the same universe. So there's going to be some weirdness around that too.
Hey, let's play.
Okay. That. Then that. And that.
Such a good guinea pig. Such a good guinea pig.
A game called Babylon's Fall was added a PS5 version. Closed beta tests signups are now available. First phase to begin in late July. This trailer had an interesting voiced character that was kind of annoying, gesture-like, squeaky voice character. Which, maybe that's intentional. It looks to me what this is almost like a JRPG, maybe even an MMO. I think it is actually an MMO. Doesn't look bad in the visuals by any means. It's maybe artistically a little bland. But yeah. Definitely didn't impress me. Didn't seem like it was gonna impress too many people. If this had come out and it wasn't a MMO and it was just an RPG game and there wasn't an online component, maybe I would consider it there, but then it's also a Square Enix game, and the odds of that are of all of that being good is fairly low. Life is Strange True Colors has a new trailer and screenshots out. Also, they announced a remastered version of Life is Strange Collection, which I guess is the, like, I'm not sure which games that would include. The Ultimate Edition of the Remastered Collection will include an Ultimate Edition of Life is Strange True Colors, which I guess the question is then what other Life is Strange properties do you get? Is it just the first game remastered? Like, the graphics only look slightly better because they already had this stylized artistic way. Here's an example of a game that was way overhyped by critics. If I was to replay this game after covering it once, there's no reason for me to do it. I think my criticism of the game fairly stands well now, but if I was to do that,
the world ends.
I would definitely have to point out just the absurd amount of wokeness that was tried to be injected into Life is Strange, or was injected in Life is Strange. Yep. There's like maybe one cutscene here that I don't recognize, so maybe Before the Storm is also included in the game, in the remastered collection. I am not seeing anything about the other family though. They've kind of completely forgotten about the brother and the Mexican brothers that were trying to escape to Mexico. That apparently has been completely left. Let's see. Legend of Mana Remaster opening movie. Cannot believe I lost there. That's ridiculous. I totally should have won that. Which I think we need to watch this just to know what it is. Very anime. Looks like it's going to be a Secret of Mana style game. It's probably in that series. Kind of old school anime in its trailer thing. Not any real gameplay footage, certainly. No. So don't get too hyped about it. Let's see. A Plague Tale Requiem was announced for the PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC. I was a little surprised by that, because I would have thought that A Plague Tale Innocence was a standalone game. It did have the subtitle though, so I guess that sets them up well. This is the game with the horrific rat hordes. Once again, a game I'd like to play, very pretty looking game, just always never get around to it. And also those games, those AA games, tend to have less gameplay and higher prices. Let's see, Square Enix and Team Ninja announced Stranger of Paradise, or is it of Paradise or in Paradise? Final Fantasy Origin for the PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. So it is part of the Final Fantasy universe. Although I don't recognize these characters. And they don't have the anime belt style look to them. Although it does seem like they are going to be in a kind of medieval castle environment. There is an interesting philosophical concept around a stranger in heaven, a stranger in paradise, because you would assume that everybody knows everybody in heaven. So it would be very disconcerting if you're walking around a heaven and all of a sudden there's somebody nobody knows. It's like, how did this intruder, this interloper arrive? This really just looks like it's Team Ninja's style of gameplay with Dark Souls style mentality and Square Enix style of going over the top and being ridiculous in its content. It would be hard to believe that Square Enix is on the right course completely, though. They've kind of lost a lot of momentum in a lot of projects.
Mankind's hatred is a curse.
Okay.
What do we have here?
Let's see, moving on. Sea of Thieves Pirates of the Caribbean crossover update launches June 22nd, which Sea of Thieves definitely did need a Pirates of the Caribbean crossover. And if anything, I suppose this highlights that Disney is not quite ready to abandon Pirates of the Caribbean. Otherwise, this probably wouldn't have happened. Like, so we might even see, for better or worse, we might even see the actor who plays the main character in the Pirates of the Caribbean series showing up again in a movie. Although I don't know if they really need any more Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like the first one I think was good, and then the rest just got kind of bad.
I'm already a proper lady, you know.
Stand down!
Let's see.
Wither.
Let's see, the Back for Blood player versus player mode trailers have been released. There is one for gameplay, for the Ridden also. The original Left 4 Dead was trying to be kind of a grindhouse type movie experience. I wonder if Back 4 Blood will go in that direction, or if it will try to be more serious, or if it'll try to be even more comedic. Orcs Must Die 3 is coming to Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on July 23rd, which, okay, assuming Orcs Must Die 3 is actually an Orcs Must Die game and it's not actually a garbage like mobile game, because I think there was a garbage mobile game. Maybe that was 2, or maybe I'm thinking of something completely different. This definitely looks like it's just more of the same, and I'm not in a bad way, really. That definitely looks like what I would have expected Orcs Must Die to be.
Let's play. I am Holmes. Let's play.
Let's see.
It looks like I'm up.
I lowballed you.
Let's see. Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song has a Leisha character trailer. Seer, a Prophet, a Harbinger. Let's see.
Speed things up.
Is this really gameplay, or is this just showing off one character? I don't know if this is the character you're playing as and you're going as like a murder mystery type game, or if there are going to be multiple characters.
I'm over here,
The art looks frankly a little too good for it to be a, let's see, it's a story-driven RPG is what they're calling it. Maybe that's the better way to do Vampire the Masquerade in general, though, is to have kind of story-driven RPG elements. Okay, if we hit that and that, I mean, can we do anything?
Stay away.
I think you hit this,
On me.
and then you play this.
There you are, my little trespasser.
A challenge!
And then that
How
protects
treat
you.
a lady?
Then you evolve one.
hunt has
While we're
only
doing that,
begun.
we'll try to attack with the others.
So sparkly. Yeah.
And none of that will work.
Yeah. What?
Let's see, a sports RPG Dodgeball Academia for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch and PC. Which apparently this was just announced. It's coming out in 2021. This is one of those games that apparently it's being published by Humble Games. Like, it looks cool and all, but it's also a game you potentially will not even remember by the time it comes out. So that's a prime example of a game that did not need to be announced at E3. There's no reason that that game would get real coverage or real excitement. A game called Far Changing Tides has been announced for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. We may have already talked about this one. And almost all of these announcements are just easier talked about through Gametsu than any other news source, so that's why we've had this huge list of Gametsu things.
I shall give birth to a new world.
Damn it. I surrender.
Back to the hideout.
Do this.
Let's play.
Do this.
Genius.
These wheels turn for him.
And then this. A game called Limnus Gate launches August 3rd. Its PC beta begins in July. What is it? It's a turn-based combat first-person shooter game.
I present you
Did not
a
even
gift.
see this one.
My crew
It could
stands with
easily
me.
be nothing.
Forfeit your life.
Not saying anything particularly
Hold up your
impressive
swords
there.
with pride.
Am I actually gonna
Stop
win
it.
here? Or are they gonna once again
Speed
find
things
some way to kill
Nice
me?
marksmanship.
Yep. Shadowverse still has a way of snatching victory away from you. You know, I feel pretty good today. I'll have to say it. Like, taking a weekend off and just goofing around, working on side projects, being really relaxed, not wearing out my voice. I probably should do that like once a month and just take more weekends off, take every weekend off potentially. Of course, it'll bite me in the butt at some point when I realize I don't have
My
enough
quarry
footage
won't escape
recorded.
that easy.
I won't let my
Fantasy Action RPG Solstice announced for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Let's see what this is. Particularly these JRPG looking games, they're gonna overlap and look all the same. This is just stained glass, and then a armored lady coming through the stained glass. She's got some kind of ghost that helps her. Doesn't look bad. The question is this going to be a Dark Souls game, or can we get something closer to a Bayonetta game? Like, I kind of wish more people had tried to do a more high action Bayonetta style games when it came out, or even now. A 3D platformer called Tinyken has been announced for PC. It's coming out in 2022. Honestly, if it's a PC only game, it really does not matter. Is this a... Ooh, it kind of feels like it's a Pikmin game for PC. A Pikmin game. Yeah. Maybe the Pikmin don't just grab things and take them back to your base, and maybe that's something that you would want more of. But yeah, there might be something there. That caught my attention more than I thought it would. A 90s inspired RPG called Sacrifice has been announced for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Which, saying your game is 90s inspired a lot of times just feels like an excuse to have pixel graphics. Although this does not look bad, and there's a kind of high level of detail being shown in the trailer, which might make it stand out, but I think a lot of people would not even see the difference.
Mankind's hatred is a curse.
A tactical cyberpunk turn-based RPG called Mecha Jammer has been announced for PC. This must have been a PC game show. I don't think I saw this at all. Some of these may very well have just been released as announcements. I think that would be a mistake, though, to say, hey, for our E3 presentation, we're just going to give a bunch of press releases. I think there's too many people who play video games who are into the audio-visual elements of ingesting information. That's why they play video games. That it would be really ridiculous to release it in a text form. It's kind of like how there's kind of a ridiculously high amount of books in video games when there is an overlap, certainly of people who like books that play video games, but it is not 100% overlap. There's a decent number of gamers that don't like to read, for lack of a better term.
The uncharted desert awaits.
Let's see. A game called A Tale of Paper is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. What is this?
There is not a soul without sin.
My prayers shall reach the heavens.
Some kind of platformer where you turn yourself into different
In the cradle.
forms of paper.
Best of luck to you.
There might be something to that, but also wouldn't be surprised if it's a fairly short game. Okay. I want to do this.
Hey, let's play.
And then this.
Hey, let's play.
And then guess we just end the turn there. Here we have a game called Eldest Souls, launching July 29th, which I assume this does not actually connect to the Dark Souls universe, and this is just somebody trying to create some name confusion. I'm a little surprised there aren't more games out there that have souls in the name to create name confusion. Yeah, this was part of the Future Game Show. That's the one I think PC Gamer does.
Woodland Fortress at 12 o'clock.
Then evolve that.
The hunt has only begun.
Ooh, a baby bird's nest. Gotta report
And
this
hit
lickety
that.
split.
By your will, O Lord.
That one, and that
Let's play.
one.
Let's play. Yeah.
That. A game called Tales of Iron has a story trailer. What is this? Rated M for mature. Does not look particularly impressive. Yeah, it feels like
Today we'll lift
it may
some
be
heavy
just a
scriptures.
2D game of some sort. Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town is coming to PS4 and Xbox One this fall. Rune Factory 4 Special is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC this fall.
Master, holier.
Rune Factory is a match 3 game,
We'll
right?
stop you.
Nope, it's a
I thought it was impressive.
Stardew Valley game. Guess that makes sense that they would call it Rune Factory if you're collecting runes.
I shall give birth to a new world.
Hit this.
Let's play.
Evolve
I
here.
won't let you get away.
So sparkly. Yeah.
Hit that.
And that concludes today's sermon.
Shadowverse Champions Battle launches August 10th in North America and August 13th in Europe. This is the kid-friendly version of Shadowverse that I think will probably completely replace Shadowverse, and it's not a terrible idea in general if they did come out with a generic Shadowverse for the anime that they're trying to promote
There is not a soul
game.
without sin.
Like, I don't know why they would go through the effort though to make something that was
Punish the
less
wicked.
linear and yet still using
Cycles on.
the new kid friendly versions of the cards and the characters. Because like, I don't think I could live stream Championship Battle and have that work as well as live streaming just Shadowverse as it is now. And you can kind of guess that the cards are all the same and there's just slightly different backgrounds, and they're censoring all the cards for both games, so you're kind of out of luck if you want an uncensored version of the experience. What can we do? I think you do this.
And those acorns flying down to the woods.
You do this,
Now's a chance for a grand slam.
and you do this, and hope that actually takes damage. Nope, it doesn't.
This is the end.
So if I had done 2 damage to that, I could have attacked that and killed that completely. Story-driven observational thriller Conway disappearance of the at Dahlia View announced for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch and PC. An observation thriller is an interesting description of a game. Well, I guess it's because you're in a wheelchair. Isn't that, though, pretty much just the story Rear Window? I guess it is, but that story can be told again. Let's see. You do this.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay. You do this.
I'm already a proper lady, you know.
By your will, O Lord.
Here I go.
And you do this.
Hey, let's play. How's
And
that?
then
How's that? What? No way.
let's see. A game called Fuga Melodies of Steel adds a PS5 and Xbox Series version. Launches July 29th. Fuga. Let's see what this is. I haven't heard of this one. Cat characters in giant land roving tanks.
Yum yums to fill my tum-tum.
Looks like it's actually a dungeon crawler too. Almost feels like a mobile game. No, it does feel like a mobile game. Interesting. We definitely need better descriptions for things called RPGs these days. It's far too easy to accidentally label something as an RPG when it really isn't.
Is that how you treat a lady? Here I
What's
go.
the din-din?
Yeah.
Right, well. Let's do this.
Serves me right.
I don't think I'm gonna win here. A 1980s arcade collection, Taito Milestones, has been announced for Switch due out February of 2022 in Japan. Includes the Ninja Warriors, Haley's Combat, Fairyland Story, Shock and Pop, Elevator Action Alpine, Ski, Wild Western, and Frontline. None of those games are recognizable to me at all.
May the forest be at peace. Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play.
See if this works. And then Halo Infinite multiplayer overview trailer. I think we already had talked about this. Check that out on Gridmatsu if you're interested. Then that leaves me with a ton of games. And so we'll skip over the games for now. We may have to go through them earlier. And then we have a Gamma Sutra article. Bethesda is going to scrap Fallout 76 Battle Royale mode's nuclear winter as players lose interest. GameSpew says there's a new game called Immorality from the creator of Her Story, which is maybe interesting, but remember that the game that from the creator of Her Story before then was not well received. I don't even remember the name of that second game that he made. Here we have a game on Steam called Cran, which is spelled with a C. Bad name. Looks like it is a asset flip game anyways. Early access, $9.99, English full audio. GameSpew says the Next Space Rebels will let you the game Next Space Rebels will let you build your own ramshackle rocket. Which, okay. Here we have a all Asian title game that looks like a low effort RPG maker game. Free to play, Japanese only. Can we do anything here to win?
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
How could you not understand? Help me, fairies. I'm gonna rest for a bit.
I'm just trying to
what's the game
survive.
name?
All I'm trying to do here. Let's see. Envisioncommunity.co.uk says PlayStation 5 averaged 51 hours of gameplay in its 5th month.
There is not a soul without
So,
sin.
My prayers
That's,
shall reach the heavens.
Punish the wicked.
I
Spare the
guess,
innocent.
you're talking 13 hours a week. More than an hour a day. Decent numbers, although I don't know how that really stacks up with any other numbers. So, it could actually be horrific numbers. For all I know.
This is where I truly shine.
My only hope would be that this guy runs out of cards before he kills me. Gamatsu has Chernobyl Lite launching July 28th for PC, later this summer for PS4 and Xbox One. Do we have a trailer for this one?
Stop it.
This game, I think if it's the one I'm thinking about, kind of felt like it may have been from the creators of the first Fallout game. Which I don't know if that really means anything, really. To anybody? Yeah, we have a game on Steam called Terra Atlantis. I'm just going through these tabs in order. This is a free-to-play game, English only. It doesn't look impressive. Gamma Sutra says Pokemon Go's maker Niantic is working on a real-world Transformers mobile game. Interesting. GameSpew says Tinyken looks like a cartoon indie Pikmin. I picked that up too. Here we've got several Envision community. We need like one more turn. Can we survive? One more turn.
By your will, O Lord.
Maybe. Probably not. Past that point. So Envision community has King's Hunt open beta coming to Steam on June 22nd. And see, I'm not sure what King's Hunt is. Looks like it's probably a mobile game. Orcs Must Die launches July 23rd, according to Envision. Chivalry will double double in size. Chivalry 2 will double in size for free, which I'm sure somebody's going to be happy about that. A game called Death Run TV will be has been revealed at 2021. In 2021. Guess we have to watch this one on YouTube. Top-down twin-stick shooter. You know what? The irony here is certainly, this kind of looks like Binding of Isaac if it was a top-down twin-stick shooter, which I guess technically Binding of Isaac is. There's just like no connection whatsoever between somebody marking their video as being potentially age inappropriate and whether YouTube decides something is age inappropriate. So me as a YouTuber talking about a video doesn't directly have to, I don't really have to consider, oh well, if this says may not be appropriate for younger audiences, do I then run a risk by showing it on my channel? The answer is pretty much no, and the real risk of me showing anything is still the adult games on Steam, which occasionally happen. Let's see if I can pull this off.
Ready? Here goes! Into the blue! And beyond!
4 fairies with rush.
Hey, let's play! Yeah!
1,
Yeah!
2,
Yeah!
3. Didn't have enough to kill this, so I'm probably gonna lose. A game called Shadows of Adam is coming to the PS4 on June 15th with a limited print physical edition. It's currently available on the Switch and PC. Don't recognize this. This is a Gemetsu article. Here's it on Steam. Sure doesn't look like much. $14.99, English only. I mean, it just does not look good enough for me. This is kind of like something I would play if I got really big into JRPGs and I played all the old JRPGs.
Hark! Arrows of purging! Asteroid Jaeger! I'll strike true! Serves me right. Call on me again.
Yeah, I don't think I'm winning here though. That was cool. According to Gamma Sutra, Netflix announces a Blood Dragon and Splinter Cell animated shows. I think we had already heard that. Project Warlock Kickstarter revealed for June 29th, according to Envision community. This does not look particularly interesting. I kind of like their player, whatever player they're using, which is not YouTube, or however they've set it up. Like, I was able to hit play and it didn't immediately bring up the controls. Of course, that was the one time I actually wanted the controls to come up, but normally you don't want it to be that easy. According to Envision community, Rainbow Six Siege gets deep learning super sampling, and Doom Eternal gets ray tracing and deep learning super sampling. Let's see. according to Envision, game Saber reveals World War Z aftermath. There was a World War Z game. I don't know if this is from the same company or not. It didn't really go anywhere. It looks interesting. Kind of has that Telltale art aesthetic, but then looks like it might be a more interesting game. The Zombies on the Mall series, like, if it had been more like this, may have been a little bit better received. And of course Capcom pretty much messed up. I think it was called Dead Rising. That was the name of it. This next game is tagged sexual content and nudity, so let me just make sure it's YouTube family friendly. Here we have the timer reset as far as adult games on Steam, or anime games on Steam. We have Nico Beach, Cat Girls, basically. Nico meaning cat. They're slide puzzles of anime girls. 79 cents, bunch of languages. Nothing of quality certainly, but it is a good canary in the coal mine. Here we have a game called Ultimate Marble Game, which just looks like a marble game. We haven't seen a ton of these, but they still kind of suck. $3.99, bunch of languages. Here we have Call to Arms, Gates of Hell Ostfront, which is apparently DLC to Call to Arms. See if we can... Well, it's $44.98, and apparently clicking on this will take me to the main game, which is a mostly online focused game, so it's not something I think I would play, although it does seem highly rated. Here we have a game called Chrome Switcher, which looks like nothing. $7.49. Here we have a game called Cyrano's Battle of Faith, which looks like it's a Chinese game. No real quality. English not supported, $1.19.
Is fighting and despair all you know?
Here we have Spare Parts X Episode 2. So we'd have to look at Episode 1 and see if it's gotten enough reviews. This came out in September 4th of 2022, so it's been almost 6 months and it's not gotten any reviews at all. It just does not have relevancy, plus it's episodic, which is a problem, certainly. So I have to say no to that. Next we have Warp Factory, which looks like nothing. $8.99, English only. Here we have a game called Military Crusaders, which looks like it might be really a side-scrolling tower defense game, for lack of a better descriptor. Very boring looking. Early access, $2.99, English and Russian. Here we have Wolf Riders, a sniper adventure, which seems to be all over the place in the art style, which does not inspire enough faith. $5.39, English only. Like, today's a kind of great day to burn through low effort Steam listings too, because you know what you're hyped about. It's the E3 announcements and the AAA games and the AA games. So these garbage indie games or D level or D tier games just don't hold a candle to it. Such as Slime's Revenge, which is $2.69, English only. Here we have Herman Electro, which looks like it's some kind of puzzle game. $17.99, English and allegedly full audio for a whole bunch of languages. Rogue puzzle roguelike about electricity, super tools, and freedom. Here we have a game that's all in Asian letters. This looks like a mobile game I played, but no, it's not that game. $7.64, Chinese only. Can't really do anything with that. Just gonna play this. Hit that. Here we have one called Button Pressing Simulator, which clearly is just low effort clicker. English only. Here we have one called Topper Carrier, which looks like a racing game. Which doesn't look particularly good, but it's way better than some of the worst games we've seen today. $1.39, third party EULA, English allegedly full audio. Here we have one called Explorer New World, looks like a dungeon crawler. I don't know why you'd bother to put out these games during E3, particularly. You knew when E3 was going to happen, or you should have known at least. English only. Here we have a sketchbook about her son, visual novel. The art style looks different. I don't know if there's really a game here or not. $3.74 says it's like her story. English only. I'll give it a chance. I don't want to just immediately dismiss it. Here we have Guilty Gear Strive. And the only thing that I would say that would potentially convince me not to put Guilty Gear Strive with such high reviews on the wish list is the general idea that there's barely any stationary images here. I'm just not going to particularly play fighting games. Plus the deluxe edition, like most fighting games, high premium. All that being said though, there's really no way I can get around it. Should have attacked. So yeah, I'm gonna put this fighting game on my wish list. It's still kind of in that territory as some categories are, where somebody would have to gift me the game to help me be motivated to go forward with it and actually purchase it. Alright, do I want to destroy this? Try and devastate him?
No! Help me, fairy. Stop! Stay away! No!
Here we have a game called Valley of No Roads, a city building puzzle where you create beautiful landscape and explore procedurally generated maps.
You were done for.
Punish the wicked. Spare the innocent.
$7.99, English only. I'm going to put this on the follow list. I will say there's a really dumb idea there in that having a city with no roads is a terrible concept. You've got to have roads, otherwise you're having people walk in other people's backyards, and that leads to a lot more conflicts than you need in your life as a city manager.
The hunt has only begun.
Okay.
Sorry, but the time for games is over. One helping of this and it's nighty-night for you.
By your will, O Lord.
Hey, let's play. There's a chance for a grand slam.
Hit that.
Help me,
That.
fairy. Stop! Stay away! No!
Here we have a game that's all in Asian characters and just looks like an RPG Maker game of no real interest. $3.39, Chinese only. Interesting. I can see the beginning of the end here unless I've totally messed up something. But probably haven't messed up anything because there's probably just a ton of more news that we'll have to get through our Twitter feed after this. Here we have a game called Trap Adventure, which just looks like a dungeon crawler. $1.19, English only. A lot of the news today definitely let me just read the headline and move forward, where usually I'm a bit slower going through the news because there's more to talk about. And that certainly highlights the issue, or one of the many issues of E3, is that it's all fluff and no substance at all.
Let's play. Let's play.
Here we have a game on Steam called Dangerous Planet, which looks like it's some kind of gravity game. Yeah, precision platformer gravity game. It's a different concept around precision platformers, but I think we've seen it before and it's not particularly that good. English and Russian, $2.39. Here we have a game called Lily's Rescue, which looks like nothing. $1.19 English only. Here we have a game called Infinite Dungeon Brawler, which doesn't look visually polished enough to interest me. Free to play with a bunch of DLC, adding up to $8.97 English only. It's not a ridiculous price. Here let's do this first. Summon a fairy, give all the fairies clash 1, or do this. To deal 1 more damage. I think you just do this.
Give birth to a new world.
Here we have a game that's all in Asian characters. Just looks like an RPG maker. Early access, $1.19 Chinese only. Here we have a game called Mochi Jump or Mochi Jump. I think mochi is the dough that old Japanese people tend to choke on a lot more than they would like to admit, because it's so chewy. It's nothing. $3.99 English only. Here we have Jigsaw JGSW, which doesn't look terrible as a Jigsaw game, but I don't know why you'd buy it for $7.64 English only. Here we have a game called Dark Harvest, which looks like a action-adventure VR game. It's one of those dark screenshot syndrome games, though. There's just nothing to see. $12.99. Do this. Hit that.
Though I set, I will rise again.
And that concludes today's sermon.
And then that. And then that.
Stop!
Here we have a game on Steam called Swift Elf. Sorry, I went quiet there for a second. This looks like nothing. 59 cents. Here we have one called Country Balls Modern Ball Fair, which clearly we've already seen a troll game around this concept. $4.79 English full audio. This mildly professional developer probably is the exact same publisher of the previous ball themed troll game. Here we have a game called Wave Break. Looks like it might actually be some actual game. Just let the images load. Still running into that problem. I think I'll probably just always run into that problem no matter what happens.
Woodland Fortress at 12 o'clock.
Okay. Can do this.
Let's play.
Then I could do this.
Let's play.
I can do this.
Let's play.
I won't let you get away.
Baby bird. Gotta report this lickety split.
That. Let's see. Here we have the game Wave Break.
I shall give birth to a new world.
We're talking about it. I don't know if there's actual races here or if you have to make the races yourself. That's the
Well, I thought it was impressive.
real thing. It's a skateboarding game, according to them. $26.99 is particularly expensive. English full audio. I'm gonna put this on the fall list, but that price has gotta come down. Here we have a game called Secret of the Soil, which is tagged as a walking simulator. Free. English full audio, allegedly. Here we have Dice Knight Mystery of
There is not a
Morai.
soul without sin.
Stop it! Nice marksmanship.
Doesn't look interesting. $10.79. Still struggling. Guess we should ask, do I have any daily quests even left to do? Probably. I haven't gotten that many victories. If I could get one more victory, that would be great. If I could get 2 more victories, that'd be even better. If I could get 5 more victories, that's asking way too much. Here we have a game called Destinies, which I'm not sure if that's how I would spell Destinies. I guess that's the right way. Look, it says it's a board game. It looks like it's a fairly narrative tabletop game. It's free, but it's a
My
digital
core won't escape
companion
that
for the
easy.
board game, so you can't play it
Eternal
as a
procession
standalone
beckons.
experience. Here we have a game called Unplugged, which seems to be just a shooting game. Indie beat 'em up. $2.99, English only. I'll put it on the follow list. Let's do that. Kinda need that in your hand. Let's see. Samurai Showdown is coming out June 14th. So it should be out right now. But it's a reboot. I'll put that on the follow list. Here we have WTF is Wrong With You, which clearly is going to be just a troll game. Let's see. BioWare has an article here. Gary McKay has been confirmed as the studio general manager. He was the interim general manager, so he's just been given the permanent position. Here we have a game called Scrafton, which just looks like a horror asset flip game, survival game. $14.99. Here we have VR Another World, which is $4.49, which is a little cheap for a VR game. It looks fairly pretty, but I'm not sure you do anything more than just wander around. I don't think there's actual gameplay here. Yeah, it's a walking simulation game for VR, which isn't a terrible thought. Like, I think there's a significant people who might be interested in trying out VR who haven't played a lot of video games or any video games, who might just enjoy wandering around and walking and looking at environments. Here we have a game called Ballistic Machines, which looks like a low effort, for lack of a BattleBots clone, I suppose. $2.79, English only. Let's see.
Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play.
Let's see. Here we have a game called The Girl Who Sees, which I don't know if this is a troll game or what. It seems to be set during World War II Filipino history. Seems like you fight a bunch of Filipino mythological creatures. There's not a lot of Filipino games out there, but then you have like this hairy guy who seems to be smoking marijuana, and see, I'm just not sure. It's tagged as educational. $6.29. I'll put it on the follow list. A lot of the Asian countries, the smaller Asian countries in size, have not had any opportunities to tell their story, as it were. Of course, some of those Asian countries are also being claimed by China, so
I'm gonna rest for a bit.
there's that issue too. This, I guess, and then do this,
Hey, let's play. Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that, and that.
Say goodbye.
Oops. Next game was tagged with sexual content and nudity. Yeah, we're still... It seems like the numbers may have gone down a little bit. As far as adult games released on Steam. Like, we're seeing 2 or 3 getting released in bursts, where at one point it felt like that we were getting 5 or 6 on a Friday. But yeah, that may not really mean as much as it would seem on first glance. Let's see, hit
The
this.
uncharted desert awaits.
And
Woodland Fortress
that.
at 12 o'clock.
The hunt has only begun.
I'm ready for more.
Gotta report this lickety split. Say goodbye.
What do we have here?
Such a lovely couple.
so yeah, we have a game here called Infinite Jump, which looks like it is just a jumper with some fairly bad
No other way.
anime images
There's no
combined.
retreat.
$1.79. Bunch of languages it claims to support.
The bewitching hour
Here we have a
upon
game
us.
on Steam called Clawfish, which seems like you play a clawfish game. I don't know if there's anything more to that though. I mean, it kind of looks a little pretty, but maybe not. $2.69, English only. We'll put it on the fall list and see. Like, normally you don't fish real fish out of a claw game. Here we have a game called The Chatter Show, which seems to be tagged as a trivia level editor. Let's see. It's designed for Twitch streamers and their chats. Create questions, sets, and play with your chat to see who's the smartest person. $7.99. Yeah, I could see the idea there, certainly.
I shall give birth to a new world.
Here we go, The Hurt in Secret. Looks like it's a terribly animated visual novel.
The world cycles on.
There's an anime that kind of has this art aesthetic, but that only half of the characters are in shadow and in black, and there's a storyline reason somewhat for it. I don't think there's really a reason for it here. I think it's just an excuse to not really have to animate things. Right.
There you are, my little trespasser.
You beckoned?
What an oath!
I'll live again.
See, next we have a game on Steam called Doomer's Adventure. It looks like it's a low effort precision platformer game.
I need more
and a troll game, 74 cents. Comparing it to Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which I think like
Double check.
Afterbirth was the one that really, Afterbirth Plus is the one that people really don't like, and kind of at this point I think you just get Repentance if you were going to get anything, which is the newest one of the expansions. And yeah, maybe I should get back and play Repentance. Although, frankly, I'd be starting from a completely new play file, so I don't know how much time I'd really be able to put into Isaac. It's not a game that I can just play and
Everyone needs an afterlife plan.
and stream like this game, because it's too fast-paced and too easy to die. Not die when you just take your eyes off the screen for a second.
There is no other way. There is no retreat.
Here we have a game called Pog 3, which looks like a physics game of no interest. $1.19. I would definitely appreciate owning all the rest of Isaac that I don't own, but
There you are,
I think a lot of it I probably would end up playing in private.
What an oath!
I will protect even in death.
Don't hurt me. Hey, let's play.
Yeah.
I won't let you get away.
Bad people are evil. Stay
Don't
away.
think I'm gonna survive here.
On me.
I want to get through every single tab today because high chance of a lot of news happening
Gold again?
over the next couple days. Plus there's a high chance of a bunch of news happening having happened while we were streaming. Here we have Space Puzzle, another puzzle, not even a jigsaw puzzle this time. $5.99 English and Russian. That's way too expensive. Here we have a game called Fluff Labs, which looks like a low effort asset flip free to play game. I guess the price is right. Here we have Cubeatle Game of Creation. Looks like it's probably an asset flip game editor. Not something I'd be interested in. $19.99. English only? Yep. Can we save the day? If I did this, then I did this,
Rest? You ain't seen nothing yet.
and then I did this.
Hark! Arrows of purging! Asteroid Jaeger!
Right.
This is the end.
I'll strike
I
true!
think I might actually be able to
I feel the emptiness.
win here.
How's that? Sight? Check. Frills? Adorable to the end.
I might actually be able to win here. It's fairly crazy.
You're pretty good.
Probably not. Not after that. Alright, well, here we have a game called Beast of Maraville Island, which is tagged as a 3D adventure game with photography, like a Pokemon Snap game. I think we'd heard about this before. $8.99, English full audio, a bunch of other languages. We'll stick that on the fall list. Here we have Hot Pot for One. I feel like this has already been on the fall list, or at least we've heard about it. Cooking simulation game, although probably very around Korean cooking. $2.99 English only. I assume Korean cooking. Could be Chinese cooking, could be Japanese cooking, or any Asian country cooking. There's this whole Gorilla Squared collective thing also being advertised, so we should probably scroll down here and just see what is on sale. A lot of them not even out yet. See if any of this. Some of these look slightly interesting, but they're not out yet. The new feature in which people could make bundles and work together, that's an element that probably needs some work to it.
And those acorns flying out of the woods.
It's something that needs to be more integrated into the Steam sales. Yeah, there's a lot of games here that have just been announced. There's a category here of wholesome games. Please Be Happy, a LGBTQ plus visual novel cute game according to tags.
You beckon.
Run on home, everybody!
Publisher sponsors. That's an interesting idea. Did these publishers literally just pay to be on the front page and advertised with a top banner? Is Steam going down that route in which they're going to have paid sponsorship ads? I guess maybe they had always done that, and they just I'm just realizing it now. Here we have a game called Alicon, which seems to be some kind of Pokemon Snap / character raising game. There might be something here, but I'm a little dubious. $14.39, I'll put it on the follow list. Okay. So you want to play this. And then you want to probably do this.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
And you probably want to do this.
Hey, let's play!
And then you, I guess, want to do this. And we can evolve that for
The hunt
free.
has only begun.
Sorry, but the time for games is one helping of this and it's
Save
99
you
for
from
you.
that.
Check. Frills, double check.
That's not gonna save you in the long run. Here we have a game called Chickscape, which seems to be some chicken platforming game. You're jumping back and forth,
Yeah, I
and
love this job.
that seems to be really all you're doing. $2.39. English only, yep. Here we have one called Reball, which looks like an Arkanoid clone of no quality. $1.79, English only. Here we have a game called Relax Fly, which we're seeing far too many of these games. I need to find one that's good and eliminate about 10 that are not as good.
Nice
Let's
marksmanship.
see, $1.19, English only. Here we have Lumber Hill, which is a multiplayer PvP game from the looks of it. Not really sure how this plays. Let's see. Lumberjacks try to complete tasks with nature fighting them every single step of the way. Interesting. That seems like that's a fairly limited experience, though. Some kind of co-op resource management game for $13.49. English full audio, a bunch of other languages. That's certainly asking a lot. Here we have a game called Minute of Islands, which looks interesting. Is it a point and click adventure? Kind of feels like it is.
My quarry won't
See,
escape that easy.
$19.99, English full audio, and several other languages. So, did they introduce a new soundtrack banner ribbon? It looks like they might have. And putting the text below is kind of a nice idea too. I'd like to see that happen for all games DLC so we can tell whether it's game DLC or artwork DLC or something else. A lot of games on Steam that have art book DLC and soundtrack DLC that you can easily confuse for game DLC. Here we have a game called Virtual Soldiers, which looks like a very ugly light gun shooter game. Yep. The problem, of course, with putting a light gun game on Steam is that you'd need people to have light guns. This is $8.49 English, allegedly full audio. Here we have GOS Castle Runner, which looks like nothing. $1.79 English only. Here we have Mr. Hop's Playhouse, which looks like a horror game that's terribly animated. $3.99 English full audio allegedly, and then subtitles for every other language it supports, or every other language it technically says it doesn't support. Here we have a game called Vortex Rolling, which seems to be nothing. It's 59 cents English, allegedly full audio. Here we have a game called Silent Dream. We're just burning through these, which is great. And this is probably nothing. Free to play, Japanese full audio, English and Korean. Next we have Japanese puzzles, which you'd think would be anime girls and lewd perspectives, but instead the faces are zoomed in, so it is not marked as being an adult in nature, which I guess that makes a lot of sense if you're playing it on like a mobile phone or something like that, where you don't have a lot of screen real estate and you would want to focus on the faces of the characters. It doesn't make as much sense, I think, in any other scenario though. Okay, and just like that, that brings me back to my Twitter feed. So now I'm going to be fairly quiet while we play what could potentially be our last game. In 2 minutes, Gamatsu says Limited Run Games is going to have a press conference starting in 15 minutes. So 13 minutes from now, theoretically, Limited Run Games is going to have a press conference. That would be a great point to try and be done in less than 13 minutes. That way all that press conference news won't have a way of being in my news feed for today, and then I can do all of that Wednesday. Otherwise, I would have to wait for 15 minutes and then wait probably 30 minutes to an hour to go through all that news.
Useless.
There is an issue, certainly, where I don't have the tabs open specifically for the two new news sources. So I need to open them up and check them. Although my Twitter feed at the moment seems to be working fairly well. Yeah, there might not actually be that much news. Let's see.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
The hunt has only begun.
Sorry, but the time for one helping of this and it's 99 for you.
What? Impossible!
That,
Rude! Yeah!
and that. According to Gamma Sutra, an hour ago, the indie bundle for Palestinian aid has raised over $900,000. They did swear in a new government, I suppose is what you call it in Israel, so there's potential for real change there, and there definitely were arguments that the most recent conflict was intentionally drummed up because the Netanyahu government, I believe, was on the verge of losing control and definitely was on the verge of being ineffective. At least that's some opinions I've heard. I don't want to get into politics, but I suppose we will.
Got your message loud and clear.
We will still have to talk about that fundraiser for as long as it's relevant, which I'm not sure exactly how long, if ever, it was relevant, so I'll have to give that a thought. What we haven't seen is anybody giving large, big speeches during the presentations so far. Okay. This. And then this. Get that.
Did I overreach myself?
Yeah, I'm not really seeing any new news. Maybe I streamed, just got lucky here and there haven't been any presentations. I guess that kind of makes sense. I bet they don't want to put presentations early in the morning anyways, so that would make sense that as long as I had managed to stream fairly early, then that would have avoided new presentations. Because like right now the only thing I've even seen so far is this game The Guardian, which looks like nothing. $2.39. Let's see.
There you are, my little trespasser. What an oath!
It could be that I didn't get a lot of news from the other news sources, the new news sources that happened over the weekend. That's a possibility, certainly. So let me scroll back a little bit further on those. Let's see if I see anything that we haven't talked about.
Stop it.
Like, honestly, I don't think that there has been too much that I overlooked. That.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
I won't let you get away.
Suppose you want to always evolve and attack with
One
this.
helping of this and it's 99 for you.
Yep, this should be the last game. Hitman Sniper The Shadows announced for mobile. Okay, there's something new.
I am the acme of genius. The
Nice
master
marksmanship.
inventor.
Forgotten City has a release date. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 has an EA trailer. Here we go. Yeah, now I'm starting to see some new news. May not be that much though. So I'm going to start a game here and then I'm just going to intentionally ignore it and see if somebody will get upset and disconnect. Although if I was going to do that, I shouldn't be playing ranked at all because that's unlikely to happen. Watchdog Legion Bloodline.
My quarry won't escape that easy.
Is fighting and despair all you know?
Yeah, and of course I'm being incredibly quiet while I'm doing this. That's because I'm trying to read. And if anything, I've gotten worse, not better, at multitasking. Okay. So here's some things I missed from Envision. Sable launching September 23rd on Xbox and PC. I don't think we talked about that. Game called Disciples Liberation has its first gameplay revealed. Let's see if we can figure out what kind of game it is. Oh, that is not what I was hoping for. There might be something to this, but I'm not sure if this is a grid-based game or if it's a Diablo-esque game or what. Seems like it's kind of several different gameplay styles that can't all be connected. Rainbow Six Siege has a new season launch date and crossplay if you're interested in that. From envisioncommunity.co.uk. Watchdog Legion Bloodlines launches July 6th. We probably talked about that. The Crew 2 Season 3 Episode 1 has been announced. Alright, as a racing game. Royal and ranked modes are coming to Trackmania. Again, Martha's Dead has a brand new trailer. Now we've heard about this game. It's like a horror game, I think. Feel like I got a weird model there. Creepy imagery. Puppets. Feel like I wasn't asked before to yeah, I feel like I wasn't asked before to authorize to look at every single YouTube video, so I don't know if I had some ad blocker that's now stopping cookies from happening or what.
Who are you calling a lizard?
I'd like to fix that. A game called Bramble the Mountain King, a horror adventure, has been announced. Let's see what that looks like.
Have no bone for the likes of you.
I'm gonna have to be better about reading what the ratings actually say when it says in for mature, because I just generally assume it's violence or something. But I mean, at any point it could be nudity. This looks like kind of a horror platform adventure game. Yep, or adventure game in general. Seems like they're going towards the creepy naked girl trope this season. Here we have Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, which is, I guess, reboot of the Sherlock Holmes series, which might make it fairly easy to ignore a lot of the older Sherlock Holmes games. Definitely looks like it's in that same style and level of quality that they're trying for with the Devil's Daughter, but didn't quite achieve. And it seems like they're going for a younger Holmes, which is not a terrible thought either. A younger Holmes is a more fallible Holmes too, so higher potential of him not coming off as a know-it-all jerk.
What was I?
The Forgotten City has a release date now of the 28th of July for PC, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, and then Switch port coming later.
Should you be guilty of?
Better than in the cradle.
Let's see. EnvisionCommunity.co.uk has gameplay footage of Babylon's Fall. I think we already looked at that. And then here we have Hitman Sniper The Shadows announced for mobile, which I assume is just more of the mobile sniper game. That'd be my guess. I don't think it's going in any real different direction than previous Hitman Sniper games.
The uncharted desert awaits.
Okay.
The uncharted desert awaits.
Then hit this.
Stay away. Hey, what's with the cuffs?
Hit that.
What do we have here?
That.
I won't let you get away.
I'm ready for more. What do we have here?
Hit that.
Did I not pray hard enough?
It's a shame that that's gonna die.
Questioning God's design is meaningless.
Alright, now I'm back scrolling down Twitter feeds.
The real battle begins. Neither heaven nor earth shall be your refuge.
I guess the question was, do I need to follow GameSpew? Because I'm not sure that they had any articles here of any value that we didn't get somewhere else.
12 o'clock. Hey, let's play. Hey, let's play.
This is the end.
Ooh, a big to report this lickety split.
How could you not understand?
So yeah, I'm scrolling down their Twitter feed.
My blade and my ears work as one.
Let us conclude.
Feel the flow of battle with your ears.
The Supernatural Adventure Last Stop launches this July. Guess that's one we may have missed. But honestly, if there's not even a single article here that
So,
doesn't look redundant,
Was impressive.
This armor's
if there's
turning out
only a single
pretty
article
useful.
that doesn't look redundant, GameSpew's probably not worth keeping, which is probably fine too, because honestly don't want to have to reference a website called gamespew.com a bunch. Hmm. 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 Sorry, it went quiet there
My
again.
blade and my ears work as one.
Still scrolling down, still scrolling down.
Witness my power. Thousand sphere void.
You're done for.
I devote my entire being to the cause.
Stop it.
Yeah, the only thing I really got here was a supernatural adventure called Last Stop. Launches this July. It's pretty much the only article, and we'd already talked about that earlier. So it's a pathetically small amount of unique news. Okay. Can do one of these,
Let's play.
and then this.
Hey, let's play.
What an
Then-
oath!
That. Hmm. So I have like 2 more Twitter feeds, and then we're gonna be done for today. And certainly today had a possibility of
Marksmanship.
being a super long stream, and instead it has been fairly quiet, fairly easy. So let's just go home here. Nothing new there. The limited run show is starting. But come on, go back to the title screen. We'll skip most of the announcements. Yeah, the consolidated Twitter feed still is skipping some articles, though. I can tell. Either that or my eyes are glazing over some articles in that super long stream. Because once I check them individually, I'm still finding 1 or 2 things that seem to get hidden. So, yeah. Ideally, what you would want to do is come over here, start this, and hit that. But realistically, I'm just going to concede that game. And as soon as I'm done scrolling, unless we just get an absolute quick disconnect. And my standards have been so lowered with Shadowverse that even getting 3 out of the 4 daily quests is more than acceptable, because there's so many days in which I just don't play at all, or when I do stream for 3 hours plus, I still don't get a significant amount of wins. It is really just a ball-bustingly difficult game, multiplayer game. It's too skill-based for my taste. Apparently timed out there. Yep. I say it almost every stream, but I'm still working on my router. Honestly, I think it's just my internet service provider. It's problems more than even the router. Alright, let's check this last feed. I connect to this match, and at that point I'm gonna disconnect. Alright, well, apparently maybe Shadowverse itself is having trouble. I did close TechRaptor's feed completely, so if TechRaptor had any articles of any interest, I am now completely unaware of it. I'm done with them. I think we're set fine otherwise. And see, the only things I missed, we have a Severed Steel Bullet Battle trailer for PC demo now available. Let's see what this game is. High action wall running shooter sliding game. This really feels like what you could have done with Mirror's Edge more of, or Bulletstorm. Also super hot. So there's a lot of games that feel like they could have been improved by having this kind of wild, crazy gameplay. I don't know how well this actually controls, certainly. And then the only other article we have is Big Rumble Boxing Creed's Champion launches September 3rd, which he's not even center shot. Unless this is Creed 2. I guess this must be like the son or something of Apollo Creed. Or Rocky Balboa. Yeah. I don't even know the characters in the Rocky movies at all. Alright, well, let's just hit OK. And then let's quit and forfeit. And that's gonna be a stream. Like, I don't know why I'm bothering to come out to this section. Quest mode. Do we still have the quest mode? I guess we do. For a little bit longer. I kind of forgotten completely about this once I had gotten it all done. Totally had forgotten about it. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.